Okay, so I already know it's offered to city employees, but is it offered to county employees? Is it something that's offered to everyone who asks about it, or is it just the city employees?
Here's a question for you.
Yeah.
What happens if it's all city employees nationwide?
Well, then all city employees nationwide.
Yeah. So the qualifiers, you just need to be an employee of a city or municipality.
Okay. So if it's only cities, then we're not worried about the nation because we're in Oregon. So the statutes are only applying to Oregon here. So in this scenario, so you'd have to, if we break it down a little bit closer, and this is where that depends starts coming in, right? So it depends on your role as a city employee on whether or not you could accept this discounted rate, okay? So it goes back to, let's say, for example, again, you're a clerk in the Public Works Department and you do filing and basic stuff in there. Maybe you work in the warehouse at the Public Works Department, and no decision you're going to make is going to have effect on that cell phone company. But let's just say, for example, you're a city employee and you're part of a purchasing group that looks at cell phone plans every year. And so being offered this discounted rate, they would have a legislative or administrative interest in that employee. So that's when they would have to sit back and take a look at things a little bit closer. But here's the thing with this question, and this is something that we've run into in the past, was typically when a phone company offers a city or county or a public official discount, typically it's being offered to the public as well. It's just they focus their marketing on the city or county or state officials in their mailer. So that's something we've discovered. So it's tricky. That's why I'm like, oh man, this is so, like, gifts is easy on the surface, but it's not when you start getting into it. Does that help y'all so far?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's keep going with these confusing questions. So next one. A local sports team is offering discounted tickets to a game for only county employees. So the question is, would accepting this offer be a violation of Oregon government ethics law? What do y'all think?
I would say yes if it was just for one county.
It depends.
Yeah.
it depends because
yeah,
do they have,
there you go. I was so hoping somebody would say that. I was like, okay.
Well, so being a lawyer, everything always depends.
Yeah,
but the folks have an interest where if the local sports team has an interest in any decision that any one of those county employees would be making, right?
Yeah. I always kind of break it down by, you're a county employee and, you, like I've said before, you work in public works, you work in the warehouse, and you've been offered tickets. Okay. Okay. Probably not a problem for you to accept those. Okay. However, if it's a county commissioner that's, again, on a planning board, and maybe the local sports team is thinking about creating a new stadium in that county, then those folks are going to have to sit back and watch what they accept. So yeah, you nailed it. It depends. And my light went out, so I don't know how I'm going to be able to. There it goes. All right, so let's keep going with these confusing questions.
Charlie, hold on 1 second.
Okay, that's it. We'll revisit some more questions here in a little bit. Okay, but so that's the gist of it. Now there are some exceptions. Okay, so we always tell folks, there's 16 exceptions. We're not going to get into all of them here, but we're going to get into the big ones. These are the ones that we get the most common. We get a lot of questions asked about them. So the first one's going to be, you guys said it earlier, relative. So yeah, you're for birthdays, Christmas, whatever holidays you folks celebrate, gifts amongst relatives, not a problem, not an issue. We had one, it was the one that comes to mind right off the top of my head was someone said, hey, my daughter is getting married and can I offer them a gift? And it was like, yeah, you totally can. It's not going to be an issue. Gifts amongst relatives, not a problem. Next is going to be an unsolicited token or award. Okay, so there's a catch on this one. So this could be something like this appreciation award. Let's just say that you get a plaque or maybe a certificate and your name's engraved on it. And typically anything with your name engraved on it or it's printed on it, then it typically doesn't have a resale value of $25, okay? But let me just throw this in. If it's attached to something valuable, so let's just say it's a plaque and it comes with a gold watch, or it's a plaque and it comes with a crystal vase. So you can keep the plaque, but you'll have to give the more expensive item back, okay? So that's where unsolicited tokens or awards kind of fall in.
So Charles, quick question on that one.
Yeah.
Let's say the award was given to someone for something that they did for the organization. Could the recipient then give the vase to the organization as opposed to give it back, right? So the plaque is kept by the individual that got the award, but the expensive vase, let's say that goes into like an awards cabinet or like some sort of cabinet at the organization. Is that allowed as opposed to having to give it back to the person that did the recognizing?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer off top, but my gut right now is telling me that would be okay. Again, it would fall back into that you're accepting it as part of the agency. But let me write this down so I don't forget, and then I'll follow back up with you folks.
Leave it to the fire guy to poke.
I think we've handled it that way in the past in our agency.
Yeah, because the kind of the breakdown here is it's always going to be the individual accepting the gift, and so when it's the public body, all bets are off at that point because it doesn't count. It's for the public body. The ethics statutes apply to individuals. Okay, good question. I got it noted, so I'll follow up with you folks with this. So anything else that you may receive as far as informational material, program material, publication, subscription, these are all things that would be tied to your role as a public official. Those are also not considered gifts. So, if you're an engineer and, Engineering Magazine is sending you a free subscription, that's allowed. That's not going to be an issue. All right, continuing education. So if you are required to take continuing education to upkeep a license or just to keep your education in place, then continuing education is not considered a gift. If it's free or they offer to you for free, but it's the biggest part of it is it tied to your professional license or part of your job, then this is not considered a gift. All right, food and beverage. Okay, so this is when you are a public official and you're representing your public body and you're at a convention or a meeting. And this is one where the public is allowed to attend. There's been invitations sent out and you being there, again, you representing your public body. And along with this conference, there's a luncheon or there's a dinner. This is allowed, okay? Let's go one step further. This is my favorite one. So incidental food and beverage or incidental entertainment. We laugh about the incidental entertainment one, but if you attend a meeting, a conference, and they're giving out coffee or tea or muffins or my favorite donuts, then that's considered incidental. The main reason you're there, hopefully, is for the meeting, not for the donuts. And then incidental entertainment. If you go to a conference and there's a cover band or a magician or a palm reader, that would be incidental entertainment. So, all right, and so ceremonial entertainment. So this is one where the entertainment is provided by the source. So this could look like a lot of different things. This could be throwing out a pitch at a baseball game. It could be a ribbon cutting. It could be you've been asked to participate in a parade. Okay, so again, this is all going to be entertainment, ceremonial entertainment, where you're providing you're representing your public body as a public official. All right, so travel expenses paid by another public official. So this is an exception as well. Now there's some criteria that it has to meet, and this would be, say, for example, I was going to a trainers conference, and the trainers from next door at the licensing bureau wanted to go with me. Then the criteria would be we could travel together within Oregon. It would have to be an event related agency. So we would both be trainers, and we would both be participating in an official capacity. So at that point, I wouldn't have to pay for gas if I rode with them, or they wouldn't have to pay for gas if they rode with me. So that would be allowed. All right, so now we get into something a little more complicated. And so this is when food, lodging, and travel has been paid for by another government entity, a Native American tribe, a membership organization, or a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Okay, so let me just give you a heads up. Anytime any entity is willing to pay for your food, lodging, and travel as a public official, go over to the computer and shoot us a message, because this is the thing that snags a lot of folks. And there's a lot of folks that get to travel, they're able to do this because they've reached out to us, and we've kind of broken it down. But the idea here is that in this situation, your travel has to be paid for by another government entity, Native American tribe, membership organization, 501c3 nonprofit organization. It keeps going. So this is one part. The next part is it's payment for you to attend a convention, a fact-finding mission, a conference, or a meeting. Again, it's you as a public official representing your public body. And then it keeps going. Third part is you're there to deliver a speech, make a presentation, participate on a panel, or represent your governing body. So you're just there representing your governing body. So what this looks like is, again, I'll just stick with me as a trainer. Let's just say, for example, the state of Washington is holding a trainers conference, and they want me to go and give a presentation as a trainer from the Oregon Government Ethics Commission, and they've paid for my food, lodging, and travel. Okay, so this would be something that I already know I'd have to run this by our folks here to make sure I could do it. But the thing is this is something that I would need, and because it's SEI season, I got to bring this up. But if you fall in this category, this was something that you would need to have a list of expenses that they would be paying for, because you would need to upload this into your SEI if you're in this scenario. Okay. So this is one. And so we get a lot of folks that are like, hey, I've been asked to go represent Oregon Government Ethics Commission in Ireland for a meeting of the governors of the world. And that's something that came across recently. So I always say, when we get here, reach out to us to make sure that you can do it without getting in trouble.
What's
All right,
the answer?
What's the answer? As far as which question?
So would it be all right for you to then travel to Ireland, have your flights, have your housing covered, your meals covered? Is there a problem with you?
So for us in that scenario was, is the public official representing their public body? So are they going as a representative of the state of Oregon? And the answer to that was yes. And so the other part was, what is the main purpose of your visit there? And so in that case, it was a fact-finding mission and also a government relations mission. So that met that criteria, and they were allowed to go. Now, let me throw another scenario at you that you want to watch out for, because this is also something that came up. Let's just say, for example, a membership organization, just say you're a member of the League of Trainers, and they have a golfing tournament, and they want me to fly out to Colorado to participate in this golf tournament, and I'll be meeting with other trainers around the world. Well, guess what? That doesn't meet the criteria of this. So that is me attending a golf tournament, which doesn't meet this delivering a speech, make a presentation, participate in a panel, and representing my government body. And if we back up one, it's not a convention, it's not a fact-finding mission, it's not a conference to me, it's a golf tournament. So that's vacation time. So that's something that would be rejected. Does that clear things up?
Yeah, right,
I got a,
go ahead.
I've got a follow-up to that, and that is, so I'm leadership in a couple of different organizations outside of my government job,
Okay.
but frequently I'm asked to speak about my government involvement. And when I have the, let's say, registration fees for a conference comped, like they're waiving the conference fee for me to speak. If I'm not there as an Oregon Department of Aviation representative,
Yeah.
then
Then it doesn't count.
okay.
So
Just wanna make sure.
let me clarify. Okay, so they're reaching out to you because of your professional role outside the board, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that doesn't apply here. So so
So I thought, just want to make sure.
yeah, the way it works is, and there's a lot of folks that are in your situation. And so here's another one that was thrown at me. This was last year, and they said, well, hey, every year my food, lodging, and travel is paid for by my church. I go out and I do mission work for a week in the summer, and they pay for everything. Is that something that needs to be reported? And it's like, well, no, if you're just going as a member of your church and you're representing your church and you're doing mission work, that's not what this is talking about. This is you as a public official representing your public body. Does that help?
Yeah, Charlie, your trip to Ireland, a boondoggle trip that you were going to take. So it's a 5-day conference and you're invited to attend. And the conference is paid for, your hotel is paid for the 5 days, but you're only speaking for an hour.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right, hang on. Fair enough. Let me.
It still meets all the criteria.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry, it meets all the criteria. Right.
I mean,
We travel all the time.
Yeah, I know. So it almost seems like all this is tied in with your official role as a public official. So if you're representing the agency, for example, if I get free tickets to a air show, because there's a specific meeting with educational leaders and they're representing the agency to speak with these education folks, then that would be considered a gift because it would fall under one of the exemptions. Correct? But nothing's reimbursed. You're just getting waived the ticket fees.
so
And it's a part of the conference though, right?
It depends.
It depends.
you're learning. It's working. It's working. So yeah, it's so we always tell folks, anytime you're offered food, lodging, and travel in any scenario, give us a phone call or shoot us an email. Because it's just like you mentioned, like you said, okay, I'm going to this convention, but I'm only speaking for 10 minutes at this one thing, or maybe I'm speaking for 5 minutes at this thing, but you're still attending it, the 5-day conference as a public official representing your public body. So you may be going to other workshops and all that during that period, which falls under that, if I back up a moment, that fact-finding mission. So you're there gathering information to take back in your role as a public official. So being invited to an air show, we'd have to sit back and go, okay, so wait, what it all involves in this air show? Is it just watching airplanes? Is it just watching, or is it going to be more involved as far as, I don't know.
There's a meeting that's within the air show of, that's bringing together educators from throughout the state, talking about, potential for a education, aviation related education symposium for 2025. So it's a planning session.
Okay,
And it's just the convening location is during that event to get more educators to come.
okay. So it sounds like, if I back up a moment, it sounds like you'd be on a fact-finding mission. So it sounds like you'd be
Yeah.
there to gather information.
Yeah.
But that would, again, that's something that you definitely want to email us so we could dissect it and give you something formal. Because here's the thing, and it's in my presentation, I know you folks already know this, but when you reach out to us and ask us for advice and you follow our advice, that is what we call safe harbor if someone was to file a complaint against you. Okay.
That's legal cover. Got it.
Yeah.
So that's something you could put in your back pocket and we could look at it and go, okay, complaint was made. This sounds familiar. We would go back to our files and go, oh, yeah, they asked to go on this trip. And according to everything that we've seen and everything you've given us, they were there, legitimately, and it's part of the exception. So it'd be all right. But again, it's that whole but if it ended up being not a fact-finding mission, but a golf tournament, then we'd both be like looking at each other like, what just happened? So we don't want to be in that situation. All right, so let's go one step further. Okay, so this is outside those four entities. So let's say the four entities being a government entity, Native American tribe, a membership organization, or a 501c nonprofit invites you. Now, this is outside of that. So this is, say, for example, let's say Microsoft invites me to go to Germany to look at some new training software. Okay, so again, the same rules apply. I'd have to be there going as a public official representing my public body, and I would have to be going to a trade promotion, fact-finding mission, designated negotiations or economic development. So that would be me going to review this training software that they paid for all my food. It would never happen, but that would be kind of the scenario here where it's an exception to the first set we just saw. And there's some rules that are tied to this too. So like in the previous slides, this is for the public official by themselves. If it's an outside entity, then the rules go a little bit further. At this point, you can actually bring staff or a family member with you. So again, if you're offered something like this, reach out to us so we can give you all the pointers on what to do. All right, then there's usual or customary practice. This is pretty easy. This is something that is a gift that's given out to everyone based upon, let's just say it's has nothing to do with you as a public official because they give this gift out to everyone. And this falls into like a Christmas present. So if an entity just gives out a bottle of wine to different folks, that are, let's just say it's a legal firm, a law firm, and they're giving out a bottle of wine to all their customers, regardless of where they're at. They're just customers that are on the files, and they do this every Christmas, then this would be allowed, okay? All right, so anytime you're offered a gift, you have to step back and kind of analyze, is it a gift? And so we go back to that very beginning. Is it something of economic value? Did I make an equivalent payment for it? Is it offered to others on the same terms and conditions? And then in this slide, we throw in another one. Do any of the other exceptions apply? Okay. And so if it is a gift, then we have to figure out what our next move is. And so we need to figure out who the source of the gift is. Do they have an economic interest in me as a public official? And does it fall within the $50 limit? All right. So I'm going to throw some wild questions at you. So the first question is it a gift? So we're just asking, is it a gift? Not whether or not you can accept it, but is it a gift? So your public body has paid for you to attend a professional conference. Attendees include public officials, private contractors, and nonprofits. The conference organizers are giving away swag bags. So the question is it a gift? What do y'all think?
Well, it is a gift. in itself. It's, you're not paying for it, but I would say it's perfectly okay to accept it.
Yeah.
Without anybody who's attending.
Yeah, the idea here is, yeah, it's a professional conference, but when you see like private contractors, that just tells you that, yeah, anyone can attend this thing. And so the swag bag, this would not be a gift. This is just for you attending the thing, and it's offered to everyone that enters the door. All right. So we know it's not a gift, so let's go to the next step. Can you accept it? So you kind of already know, right? The public body, it's the same question here. They changed it up a little bit. So if we look in the middle part here, it says attendees of this conference include individuals who hold your professional license, private companies who contract with public bodies, and nonprofit groups. So can you still accept the swag bag? What do you think?
They're giving it to everybody.
Yeah. Yep, you got it.
Yeah.
All right. So here's a good one. So, and you already answered this one too. So as part of your official position, you help organize an agency event with the community. After the event, your office received an anonymous fruit basket as a thank you for putting together the event. So can you accept it without violating ethics law? I think you guys answered this already.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Put it
Yeah,
put it in Kenji's office. Everybody will come eat it.
There
Exactly.
you go. You got it. Awesome. So here's one. A nonprofit has invited you to speak at a conference overseas. You would be participating as a representative of your agency. The nonprofit has offered to pay for your travel expenses. What do you do?
Send you a note.
You're a speaker.
Yeah, you have to break it down. There's a lot of questions here, right? So, but what's the main thing I'd like to hear y'all do?
You're representative of your agency.
You're
Yep.
representing and you're participating, you're speaking.
Yep.
And then send you a note to cover our butts.
You got it. Come to us. So on the surface, it looks fine, right? It's a nonprofit. We already know that. You're asked to speak, so you're there. You're as a representative of your public body, and they're paying for everything. Right at the top, yeah, you looking at it going, yeah, this looks pretty good. I think I can do this. Just stop for a moment, shoot us an email real quick, just to make sure you get yourself covered. All right, now here's a good one. You would like to start a GoFundMe to pay for your pets' veterinary bills. As a public official, what are the limitations to donations you can accept? So there's a couple things in here to think about. What do you think?
Well, if it's not from any of the classes, you could accept, I mean, if you were just putting out a GoFundMe page and some guy from halfway across the world decided to give you $10,000 who has no connection to your official duties, there's no limit. But if it's somebody who you're regulating or overseeing, then you have limits.
Yep. So
And if it's anonymous, you can't accept it unless you know the source of it.
Awesome. Yeah,
Should be.
you got it. Here's the deal. Everyone was right. Okay, so here's the deal. So yeah, you nailed it. It's first off, you can't take any anonymous gifts. Okay, you just can't accept any anonymous gifts. Okay, and then after that, you'd have to make sure that anyone that has that legislative or administrative interest, you don't accept more than the $50 in that calendar year. So if you accepted something in the past, you're gonna have to do some math. But if no one's giving you anything, then you'd have to sit back and look at that. But yeah, y'all are on the right track. So any questions for me before I close this thing out?
Yeah, Charlie, I want to ask a question about the whole air show ticket thing.
Yeah.
What happens if I reframe it as if we did not receive that the free tickets, otherwise the agency would have to pay for them. So it's an agency expense that they're not charging us.
Okay. That's a close one. That's another question. So
I'm not sure I understood
Yeah, because
your question.
the meeting at the air show, it would be a legitimate agency expense.
Yeah.
So we'd pay for it, but if the Hill for Air Show says, hey, we'll give you the tickets free so you can participate in this meeting. And in essence, the agency wouldn't have to pay for it.
We have to
It's-
be,
Wouldn't have to pay for it.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
So here's where I'm thinking this is
Yes.
where this air show thing fits in. And it's on that second food, lodging and travel one, where the first one was the government entity, Native American tribe, the membership organization, or the nonprofit. This sounds like it would fall into the other section where it's an outside entity of those four, and they're paying for you to attend a fact-finding mission. So you're going there to get an education. So it sounds like it would fall in, and we call these
Yeah.
exceptions F and H, and it sounds like yours would fall into H.
Okay, got it.
I use Microsoft because that's an example it was an example of, we try to use stuff that we've had come across our plates here at the Ethics Commission. So the Microsoft going to Germany, that's not me at all. That's something that's happened to someone in the past, but it could be anybody. It could be, the state of Colorado asking you to attend, in my case, the state of, well, not the state of Colorado, but let's say it's Microsoft and they're asking me to attend a conference in Portland and they're paying for 3-night stay. Or it's a software company and they're asking me to attend a conference in Eugene. So I would still be there on a fact-finding mission representing my public body, but it would be what we call exception H, not
Okay.
F. Does that help?
Yeah, super. Thank you.
Okay. Again, just to cover your bases, send us an email so we can dissect it a little bit better and make sure that you can do this without getting in trouble, or at least give you steps to be able to attend without getting in trouble.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, so let me get to the dark side of the Ethics Commission. It's complaints. So when it comes to complaints, just heads up, we only take signed complaints. We do not take anonymous complaints. We do follow up with a preliminary review. So we will be reaching out to all the parties, the person that complained and the folks that's being complained about. And then if there's enough information there to go to investigation, we ask our commissioners if we can move forward with it. Then advice. Like I said before, if you reach out to us, there's 3 levels of advice. We give out a lot of advice all the time. So in my downtime, when I'm not training, I get thrown a couple on my plate. Of course, I throw up my initial thoughts and then it gets redlined and sent back to me. And so I have to make edits, but staff advice is something that all of that goes through our director, and she looks at every single piece of it and decides on what needs to be edited. But any advice you ask from us, and if you follow it, gives you a level of safe harbor. All right, so before I finally close out for real, what is your biggest takeaway today? And I'm going to throw out my information there. What was the one thing you learned today that you're like, oh, great, I know this now. Didn't know it before.
It depends.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so funny because it was something we were talking about. It's like, yeah, a lot of people are saying they really hate when we say depends on whether or not they can accept a gift. And it's like, all right, we got to do better of getting over that hurdle of that. So that's kind of where I'm at with this. But is there anything else?
Charlie, what, do you happen to know what's the deadline for filing the EIS?
SEI, that is going to be
SEI,
April
yeah.
15th.
Okay.
April 15th. And heads up,
need to
that's
file?
all done through our electronic filing system. I know where you're going. So many initials, right? That's available 24/7. So there's no kind of grace period. So if I don't know what day the 15th falls on, but if it falls on a holiday or on a Sunday or a Saturday, it's still due on the 15th. So that's.
Can't you just raise the issues? Do we even need to file one? Because I'm a board member.
So it depends on it depends on ORS 244. So have you been invited to create an account and file an SEI?
Not yet. not for this. I was a board member of an agency that I did need to, it was a hospital board, so I needed to file for that one.
Okay, so,
But I didn't receive I have not received notification from the commission for filing for this position.
okay. So and the only reason I asked is because in ORS, there's a whole long list of folks that have to file. I mean, it's intense. So how we kind of gauge this is by each public body has a jurisdictional contact that's been designated by the public body. And so that individual tells us, or they go into the database and they seat board members, commissioners, counselors. And when they seat them in their jurisdiction in the electronic filing system, that identifies them as someone that needs to file an SEI. And so, which makes, they go in, assign this person the seat in their jurisdiction, and then an email is triggered for them to create their account, and then that starts the whole process. So if you haven't been, if the jurisdictional contact has not designated you in the public body as someone that needs to be seated, then either a couple of different things. Hopefully, you're not supposed to. And then, of course, hopefully they didn't forget. So, but if you have questions, you can shoot us an email. It doesn't sound like you have to, but I don't know all the roles on top, because I mean it's like some fire chiefs have to, and it's very, very, very long list of folks.
We never had to, as board members, never had to file in the past.
Never had to before.
No.
Even though we are public officials. Yeah. Anybody got
Like the Oregon Tourism Commission. We never had to file that.
Yeah, it all depends. It's all in ORS 244. Like I mean, the easy answer is if you're appointed or elected, but that's not always the case. So it's a long list. Well, any other questions while I'm here?
Oh,
No, okay.
thank you.
Well, awesome. I think, yeah, I'm like 6 minutes over. So hey, thanks for having me again. And this was fun. I like talking to you folks. And
Thanks, Charles.
and if you have questions, concerns, here's our information. If you like today's training, shoot us an email. If you hated today's training, let us know how we can fix it. But I'm always around. So there's my email there, charles.esparza@ogag.oregon.gov. I go by Charlie, but yeah, throw anything you want at us. I'm always around. So with that being said, I'm done. I'm going to stop presenting.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks for modifying your schedule as well. We appreciate it.
Yes,
Awesome.
thank you.
All right. Well, hey, you guys have a great rest of your Thursday.
Sounds good. We'll be in touch.
All right. See ya.
Yeah. Hey, bye.
Okay, I think that
We
was
didn't even have a quorum meeting.
all we had to wrap up.
Mhm.
Yes, we've lost our quorum for the training. Anything else?
Nope.
Otherwise, we are adjourned.
Mm,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, did everybody see the new letterhead?
It's thrilled.